Hello everybody and welcome to James Lamont's Writing Podcast. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the film Homestead, which recently came out in movie theaters. I'm going to be giving a general review of it, and then I'm going to go into how it puts forward its conservative, in this case specifically Christian message, and how that is kind of different from how I approach that same topic in my book. So the film's plot basically starts out with a nuclear bomb going off near Los Angeles, California, and a major blackout occurring throughout most of the country caused by Russian hackers. So it's kind of a 1-2 kind of punch that is leaving in the country in a state of chaos. And so it follows the owner of this compound that is outside of a city in the Rocky Mountains. That's basically this highly prepared compound. This owner's a very rich man. I believe they said he's a millionaire or maybe even a billionaire. And so he's got this farm and lots of guns, lots of supplies, everything he needs to kind of ride out the end of the world. The plot thickens when his security team arrives to help him out, and they're faced with the problem of a whole lot of people trying to get onto his place when he only has enough food for the people working for him, for himself, for his family, and for his employees' families. He doesn't have enough food to help everybody. And so these people want in, and he and his family are good Christian people, so they want to help him out, but they don't think it's possible. Or at least the owner himself doesn't think it's possible. So it creates this conflict, and that's at the heart of the story. So what about the quality of the film? Is it worth going to watch? Well, the beginning is very fast-paced and exciting. Okay, very good beginning, first 20 to 30 minutes. It slows down as everyone arrives, the security team arrives on the homestead, because it starts off with different people who go to the homestead, as well as the homestead's owner. So as they're all going there, that's the more fast-paced part. And once they all get there, it kind of slows down, but there's still a good amount of tension, again, as we're concerned about all these people at the gates who need help and who we don't think we can help right now. The only real problem with the film is the ending, which feels very rushed and poorly done, which actually most likely owes itself to the fact that, as you find out at the end of the film, this movie is actually the pilot episode for a TV show. And so that's the primary problem with the film from a quality perspective. It's a pilot episode for a TV show masquerading as a movie by having a 2-hour run length and coming out in theaters. And so basically it wants to set up the basic idea, and from here on out there are going to be spoilers, okay? So if you want to keep watching, if you want to watch the movie, go see the movie. But from here on out there are going to be spoilers. So the ending is basically a hurried and rushed attempt to turn the homestead into a kind of Christian haven that lets everybody in. And the way they do that is the wife has been wanting to open the gates the whole time, whereas the owner, the husband, does not. He gets shot during a standoff with some law enforcement trying to barge their way in. And so after that occurs, and he goes unconscious, he's not dead, but he's unconscious and incapacitated. During that time, his wife lets the gate in, lets everybody in, and sets it up as kind of a Christian haven for people. Now, in a good Christian film, they're going to have to open the gates in this scenario at some point or another, right? And follow Christ's call to love our neighbor as ourselves. The reason I don't think this works too well in Homestead is it's too rushed, it's too random, and it's not satisfying enough. Okay, because the creators did not invest a significant part of the plot before this moment in trying to create plans and stuff to let all these people in. It's a sudden 180-degree turn, right? As soon as the husband dies, or not dies, but goes unconscious, the wife is like, boom, let's open the gates up and let everybody in with minimal planning. It turns out that some of the people at the gates had plans that could help, but of course that wasn't mentioned before this point in the story. So the film has been operating under the idea of we need to keep everybody out if we're going to survive, to suddenly turning that 180 degrees over the course of about 3 minutes to turn it into this, from this very tense post-apocalyptic thriller story into this very optimistic Christian film. The transition is way too fast, and I don't think it works. I almost think it kind of creates a scenario where you can almost just kind of wish all your problems away because Jesus, okay? Because the creators did not invest a significant amount of time into explaining this plan, and they certainly didn't show the challenges faced along the way during the operation of this plan. And because now part of this isn't so much an issue with how they're approaching Christianity, because it's also just a problem that's caused by the fact that this is ultimately just a pilot episode for a TV show masquerading as a movie. But I'm treating it as a movie because that's what it's being marketed as. So when you're treating it like a movie, you're seeing that they're not going into any of the details of the difficulties of this plan and this Christian homestead. And it's kind of a situation where, we're going to open everybody in and basically give Jesus the reins and everything's going to be okay from here on out. Which is not how Christianity works. In the real world, Christians die and suffer and meet horribly terrifying ends at the same rate that secular people do. There are situations in which Christians don't run into these situations. For instance, a Christian is much less likely to, in a post-apocalyptic situation, wind up being shot by someone acting in self-defense, right? Because a Christian's not going to be attacking anyone. But at the same time, Christians have been viciously killed by evil governments. That's probably the number one thing. During Rome, of course, during all that happened in Europe during the Renaissance period, Protestants and Catholics killing each other in their respective countries very violently. And of course, this also occurs in modern times, probably most famously today in Muslim countries, but also just going back a few decades in very secular countries like Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. So definitely Christians meet very harsh fates in this world. And I don't think Christianity, I think that it can help materially in some situations, but I don't think that Christianity should be viewed as a solution to material problems. So how Christianity works in my book, instead of just being the solution to your worldly problems, it is the thing that helps you get through them while avoiding becoming like an animal, okay? In my book, you have Christian characters and secular characters. I don't get too much into other religions in this book because it's set in rural America, so you just have Christians and non-religious people, right? And this book, by the way, is titled A Damn Good Man. It's coming out in May 2025. But in this book, you have these two types of characters. And the more secular characters, they don't believe in an intrinsic form of morality, right, that comes from God. And so, ultimately, for them, morality is something that they've decided, not something that they have to actually obey. And so, in situations where casting morality aside is convenient or even necessary for their survival, comfort, etc., they can and will do so. Whereas a devout Christian faced with the same situation is not going to do that because to do so would be to betray God and would be to betray the gospel, to betray Christ. And that's not something that a Christian can do. So, at least not with intellectual consistency. And so Christianity, rather being the thing that just makes all your problems go away, it allows you to look at those problems and deal with them without becoming an animal, essentially. And though Christianity can increase your odds of survival at times, what it really does, is what it's most beneficial for, at least in this life, is that when it comes for the time for your death, you can die peacefully because you know that you followed Christ, right? You took Christ's way, you took God's way. You did what is right. You can face your death with peace and consistency, right? Whereas I don't think that a secular person is going to make that, is going to be able to have that same sense of peace at their time of death. At least not at least not when the circumstances surrounding that death are unideal, like in a post-apocalyptic world. So that's my take on Homestead and my comparison to A Damn Good Man. That's my thoughts on that issue. Just as the author who's now trying to get a book published in the post-apocalyptic genre, I saw another Christian post-apocalyptic work on the billboard, and so I was like, I gotta go see that. And that's why I think the main difference is. You respond in the comments. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that Christianity is something that should genuinely be viewed as a belief system that can make the apocalypse go away, essentially? Or do you think that it's more along the lines of something that helps you wrestle with the problems, even if it doesn't always provide you with a physically better situation? That's all I have to say. Oh, also, if you think that my reading of what Homestead was really saying is off, then please feel free to put that in the comment section too. As always, I ask you to please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Other than that, God bless and have a good day.